A scare this morning in the densely populated King Street, St. Michael area. Firefighters were called in to put out a blaze that could have turned disastrous. Lisa Broom has more.
Shouts of fire by an elderly lady alerted Imran Coulter that the house next to his was on fire.
I heard a lot like a crackling noise, and then I could hear my mum shouting that. You know, she ag, that would be in Gujarati, fire, right? So it's then I realized that next door was on fire.
Coulter says his house only suffered water damage, but Robin and Nadir Sinarine were not so lucky. They had already left home around 7:45 when they received a call shortly before midday and told the house, which they've been renting for the last 9 years, was on fire. They lost most of their possessions, although neighbors were able to save a few pieces. Owner Mohammed Salim Patel tells CBC News he had to cut plans for an outing short after receiving the call.
Since he lost and I lost, what this happened? We can't do nothing. I don't know what happened from the stove or something. We don't know, because even I don't come this house. She's a good tenant. She left money here, and she was a very good tenant.
3 fire tenders with 12 officers under the command of Station Officer Tyrone Trotman attended the blaze. They and police are still trying to determine what caused the fire at the uninsured house. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Government is hoping that the road at St. Martin's, St. Philip will be fixed in a few weeks' time. The update from Minister of Public Works Michael Lashley during a tour of that site and other areas in St. Philip and Christchurch.
Mr. Lashley says relief will soon come for residents and businesses affected by the roadworks. The contractors are back on the job and paving is expected to start sometime today.
I'm saying that with any road work, there will be, or any road works, there will be inconvenience. And I just want again to apologize to the residents, to the business houses here, that is a natural course of any construction. But be that as it may, though, we are continuing full steam ahead, and we will have this road completed obviously within, I would say, a 2-week frame.
The minister says a public works officer is being stationed in the area to address any further concerns from residents. He says this is among plans to reduce the fallout from the roadworks.
There will be a collaboration and a cooperation between Rayside and MTW. Where there's a shortfall in Rayside, MTW will pick up the slack. I have mobilized all of the MTW personnel. I mobilized their material and tell them they have to get on this job to work along with Rayside.
Mr. Lashley also discussed the island's public transport system. He's noted that pirates are cutting into the profits of the transport board as well as private licensed operators. The minister says this is among issues authorities have to address during upcoming discussions with stakeholders.
The purpose of the meeting is also to make sure and to see if we can, through moral suasion, can get the private operators, their conductors and their drivers to wear uniforms. That is the purpose of it, to have their cooperation and let us work as one family. I am not there to fight this body that is representing the private or this body. I need one central body. They need to come together and let us work as one body so that we can move forward as one. And that meeting is scheduled for the 26th of this month at Combermere.
The minister has also disclosed that efforts are underway to address ongoing problems with the transport board. He says one of the areas being closely examined is changes to the routes.
You running buses sometimes on routes that are serviced by 10 and 15 ZR vans. And when you look at the transport bus, one person sitting down in it. I have a problem with that.
Mr. Lashley has given the assurance that the public interest will be protected if private operators are given a greater role in some areas, even if it means passing appropriate legislation. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
JetBlue Airways' schedule is officially back to normal as relieved passengers touch down this afternoon after a grueling trip from New York. The freezing weather and the long lines at New York's airports were the biggest inconvenience for travelers. Most were just happy to arrive in Barbados, although some had to leave behind loved ones who were unable to book a flight.
They couldn't get on the flight. I was the only one who was fortunate enough to get on the flight. And I'm here, so I'm just going to enjoy the rest of it.
JetBlue cancelled last 3 days of flights. So the airport at JFK was a total mob. Never seen it like that in my life.
The lines at the airport were terribly long. You were hustled, and it was extremely cold.
How difficult was it to get a flight here?
Not difficult at all. I didn't have any trouble. I had booked way ahead, and they called and confirmed. Yes, they confirmed yesterday by email, and everything was smooth sailing. I was a bit apprehensive. I was going to cancel.
She had to deal with all the harsh weather. She dealt with getting the snow clean and all the other things that went with it, and dealing with the ice. I'm glad to see that she's down here in the warm weather now.
Well, General Manager of JetBlue Airways Barbados, Terry Lane, announced just today that the airline will be offering financial compensation to passengers who were stuck in Barbados because of the unsafe weather conditions in the U.S. The airline's relief flight also left the island today with passengers previously stranded in Barbados. The Barbados Workers Union says government has apologized for the manner in which it has handled the retrenchment of 300 workers from the drainage unit. This revelation from BWU General Secretary Sir Roy Trotman. Sir Roy was speaking after a meeting with Finance Minister Chris Sinclair, Labour Minister Dr. Esther Bayer-Suku, and the National Union of Public Workers. He says the apology sets a platform for conciliatory relations between government and the labour unions.
We have an unqualified apology from the Minister of Finance for the way in which this matter was handled, and for his recognition that there needs to be further work to look at in re-examining this issue. That is not to say that some people may not in fact be required to leave that particular project, but it is to say that the NUPW has made a very clear, very lucid, and a very balanced judgment on what went wrong in all of this, and the government officials have recognized, without apportioning blame to any specific person, they are aware that the matter has to be re-examined.
And when he emerged from that meeting, Minister Sinclair said government is committed to the practice of good industrial relations and will be continuing discussions with the unions about the job cuts. He hastened to add, however, that the proposed retrenchment program, which was laid in Parliament, already forms part of its reformation strategy. The Finance Minister reiterated that time is of the essence, as government cannot put off implementing its policy.
Has put its proposal and its position on the table. It's government policy, and therefore what we do from here is to engage, and that's what we're doing and consulting as per our responsibilities for good industrial relations practice, and also with the protocol that we've signed in the social partnership. And therefore, you know, if you have to be flexible here or there, that's part of the negotiations process. But we have to make sure that people understand that it is not business as usual. The government is on a particular course. We've started 2014, and we are going to be making decisions.
Meantime, the NUPW says it is happy government has created a window of opportunity to try and reduce the number of workers being sent home. General Secretary Dennis Clark says there is need for a conciliatory approach since there is the potential to create a devastating ripple effect in the economy.
The situation is one where we were able to get government to go back and look at their position coming out of what happened on Thursday, and bring a more conciliatory approach, which you know, we at this point in time don't want to say too much about it, but at least that with the opportunity that the Prime Minister spoke to the union about is open, and we are hoping that we can go in and save as many jobs as possible. You know, out of the 3,000 that they had promised, that they had said that they would eliminate from the public service.
Meanwhile, Labour Minister Dr. Esther Bayer-Suku is optimistic that the parties will find common ground. She is pleased with what transpired, describing last night's talks as cordial.
Everybody understands what we are trying to achieve. So it was not combative. We are really trying to achieve the same goal, to save Barbados, to save our economy with minimal collateral damage. without the loss of jobs, if at all possible. And so we've started discussions, and we think we're on a good path, and we will continue discussions. We're not ended our discussions.
Well, another round of talks is scheduled for Saturday at 3 in the afternoon. The painful medicine prescribed by government in the form of job cuts to slash expenditure is getting support from a leading academic at the University of the West Indies. The Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences at the Cayfield campus, Dr. Justin Robinson, describes the measures outlined by Finance Minister Chris Sinclair as bold. He believes with correct implementation, the measures could protect the value of the Barbados dollar and the standard of living which Barbadians have become accustomed to. He tells CBC News what government is trying to do is come up with a certain level of savings in a very credible manner within a particular time frame.
I think the fixed exchange is worth fighting for, and I think these are sacrifices that are being called for in an attempt to convince the international community that Barbados is serious about fixing the fiscal deficit and will defend the fixed and will be able to defend the fixed exchange rate. So I think getting this program through is critical to the credibility of Barbados, and also critical to Barbados avoiding entering into a formal IMF program.
The head of the Barbados Investors and Policyholders Alliance, June Fowler, says her organization is not halting court action to recover all monies from CLICO. She was speaking to the CBC in response to comments by Finance Minister Chris Sinclair that policyholders may soon be compensated.
We are still pursuing the court action because when we look at what the judicial manager is proposing, it does not give us 100% recovery. So whatever the shortfall is, we're going to pursue that in court because we believe that the policyholders should be made whole and not part or half. When policyholders faithfully over the years put their funds into CLICO, the understanding was that when their policies mature, that they will get their 100% plus interest. And for us now to accept anything less than that is just nonsense.
A mentally challenged woman from St. James is reportedly missing. She is Jeanne Jordan, 34-year-old of Dublin Road, Weston. Jordan left home at about 9 o'clock Sunday night to go to karaoke at First Street and has not been seen or heard from since. At the time, she was wearing a blouse and a skirt, but the color of the clothing is unknown. She's about 5 feet 8 inches tall, has a light brown complexion and straightened shoulder-length hair, which is usually kept in a bun. Jordan has thick eyebrows, a straight nose, small mouth. She's of medium build, full-breasted and slightly bow-legged. She also speaks with a stammer. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Jeanne Jordan of Dublin Road, Weston, St. James, is asked to contact the police at emergency number 211 or the nearest police station. A Barbadian has been sworn in as mayor of the central New Jersey city of Plainfield. Adrian Mapp took the oath of office on New Year's Day, becoming the only person of Barbadian descent to hold such an office in the United States. The former St. George resident has lived in the U.S. for just over 30 years after moving there along with 6 other siblings. In an interview with the CBC, Mayor Mapp said there are a number of similarities between Barbados and Plainfield and scope for cooperation.
I met the president of Essex County College, who is Dr. Gail Gibson, who we have formed a relationship, and we have been having conversations about what kinds of partnerships can be established between Essex County College with support and partnership from someone like me as the mayor of the city of Plainfield and Barbados in terms of the education, whether we're talking about the community college, whether we're talking about the University of the West Indies. I think there are ways that we could form partnerships. It can also be on a level of trade and commerce